lived in our block named Michael Lee Holt. He lived catty-corner from us and was my brother Paul's best friend. He was born with a congenital heart defect, which he described as, "My heart is backwards, and there's 4 holes in it." His physical appearance was different than the rest of us. His skin was a dusky bluish gray, especially around his eyes. His fingers were clubbed, and his shoulders were stooped. He couldn't run or play rough the way we could. If he tried, he would get even bluer and gasp for air and squat down low to the ground and catch his breath. So he played with Paul mostly. My brother was grand poobah of the mischievous kids. They were always up to no good. They teased big dogs behind the safety of a chain link. They weren't stupid. Shot birds with BB guns and dug holes to China. Most of the stuff they did was not too physical, and so Michael Lee fit right in. I was close to Paul, but still not privy to a lot of their activities, because, after all, big brothers, no matter how close, didn't like their cootie-infested little sisters pestering them all the time. But I did know what Michael Lee's secret wish was. He told me once when he was feeling magnanimous, but more than likely just bored, since this particular day my brother was off messing around with another group of boys he hung out with. And Michael Lee was left out. We were sitting on the curb in front of my house chucking rocks across the street and being generally lazy. Michael Lee was scheduled to have surgery on his heart that summer. All the kids knew it, and knew he was a little frightened about it, although we all never talked about it. It was something like his 4th or 5th surgery, and he was only 12 years old. He leaned back on his elbows, looked up at the sky, and half-whispered, almost prayerfully said, "When I get out of the hospital, I'm going to run." I looked at him carefully and thought for the first time how strange it must be for him, in this neighborhood of children, to never play Red Rover or dodgeball or all the other games we played, and to not play because he couldn't, not like me because I didn't want to. He didn't have a choice. Later that summer, Michael Lee and my brother were sitting in his yard. I didn't have anyone to play with, so I ran over to see if maybe today they would consider letting me tag along with them. "No, you stupid girl," Michael Lee said sneeringly when I asked. I was hurt and began to cry. Then, with childish ignorance and cruelty, I blurted out, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, Michael Lee. I hope you die in that operation." I didn't speak to him the rest of the summer. One day I'd been at a girlfriend's house that lived over another block. I came skipping back singing. When I got close to my house, I glanced over at Michael Lee's and stopped dead in my tracks. There was a wreath hanging there. It was black. For a moment I just stood there. I didn't comprehend it. Then slowly the full significance of this hideous black thing hanging silently there struck me like a punch in the stomach. I began to scream. I ran into my house, back to my room, and threw myself on my bed and cried. I cried for my brother, who had lost his best friend. I cried for myself and for the horrible thing I'd said in one quick, white-hot moment of anger. I couldn't take it back. And at that moment I wanted so very much to take it back, as if doing so might bring back Michael Lee. But most of all I cried for Michael Lee, who would never run. The next morning we all got up and dressed for the funeral. As I listened to the eulogy, tears once again streamed down my face. As I passed the casket and looked down at Michael Lee, I was shocked to see for the first time an inkling of what he might have looked like if his heart had worked properly. His face was white, and his cheeks had a rosy glow. I looked at him for a long time, and then I said, "I'm sorry, Michael Lee. I'm so sorry."